Cheers, y'all.
That's a party.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Welcome, my friends, to show number 266, where we will talk about the best cigars of 2021, as well as a host of other, quasi-interesting topics.
Random things, including Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Well, anytime you throw Nicolas Cage in, it's always a party.
I'm only alluding to that because we had a few episodes of way back where we back-to-back had Nicolas Cage
stuff. Yeah. Well, and even a photo of him in what looked like pajamas. Right? So it was pretty interesting. Welcome to show. It's number 266, and we are thrilled to be here and thrilled that you guys are on with us. I have to say a huge thanks to Ian for jumping in and doing a sort of a mini show last week. I'm so glad that guy showed up to make it easy. Yeah, I know, it was great.
Oh, you're talking about me, yeah.
Yes, exactly. It was the first time in 266 episodes that I missed a show because I was sick.
It's absolutely crazy. I know.
I've been out of town a few shows, and usually you would line up a co-host to do the show with you, but this one I kind of called you at the last minute, and I said, man, I don't think I'm going to make it. Now my plan, I thought I had a plan B, which was for me to do the show over Skype, like you have done a time or two when you needed to be at home, right? Or at another location. The problem is, because of where I was having to spend most of my time, I would have been Skyping in from my bathroom, where I would have been seated on the toilet.
You could have just put something up behind you and worn a nice shirt. We might not have known.
But the amount of times I would have to mute the mic would have been, it wouldn't have been great. It wouldn't have been great.
Does Cruze have a blood vessel showing up in his forehead there?
Be like,
a vein showing up his forehead?
I'm getting notes of. Oh wait, yeah, no, those aren't the notes I was looking for. So anyway, thank you for.
So apparently last week was just a potty show.
It was. You know how you say that sounds like a party? That would have been a little bit different.
Oh, that sounds like a potty.
Yeah,
sploosh.
Yeah. So thankfully, I'm doing much better, and I'm ready and excited to be a part of the show again. I missed being here. It was like, at the time I was like, I didn't really feel much like doing a show anyway. But as I was getting things ready this week, I was like, I really missed being here doing the show.
When you miss one?
Yeah. So
and I just did a short show last week because I didn't have anything prepared for it.
Right, because I called you last minute and said, dude, I'm not going to make it.
So I want to put this out there. I have a couple friends that I called to see if they could come on the show.
Yeah, of course, that was also very last minute.
It was incredibly last minute, and I was already out and about, so I didn't have any beer or whiskey. So I was like, my list of demands on the friends that I called was, I also need you to bring all the beer.
Yeah. Can you show up in like 15 minutes and bring a whole bunch of booze?
Unfortunately, in this real world that we live in, I don't always live in it, but in the real world that most people live in, they have, what do you call those things?
Jobs.
Day jobs. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I understand some people have those.
Apparently, in with 45 minutes to go, they can't just be like, hey, I have to leave my job right now to go get beer and whiskey and do this show.
Yeah. Amazingly, that's frowned upon by some employers.
You guys are going to have to get different jobs out there.
Yeah, you really are. Ian may need you. You never know when.
That's right.
Well, we will try to make that up to you today because I have brought the beer and the spirits, and today we'll be tasting from Celis Brewery in Austin their Peche. It's a Belgian-style Peche beer.
Celis is known for their Hefeweizen.
Yes, and their white.
Their white ale.
Yeah, the white ale is their big. That was really their
white
claim to fame.
Yep.
They're not as old as St. Arnold, but they are one of the older craft breweries in Texas. And this is their Peche, which is a Belgian-style beer, but it is peach infused, which is what Peche means. Actually, I think Peche also means evil in like French. But I don't think it's an evil Belgian beer. I think it's a peach Belgian beer. So we'll be trying that.
Maybe evil peach.
And I've been holding on to this one for a while because we had several other things happening that we missed last week. But Bell's Brewery has a new double IPA called Mars. and it's very space looking from the label. I think.
All right.
So I know you're a big fan of Bell's.
I'm a big fan of Bell's.
fan of IPA. So we'll see.
See what happens
if
there.
the twain shall meet.
I mean, they kind of nailed it with their Two Hearted.
I know.
So
Yeah.
what are they going to do?
I don't know. It certainly looks different. I can tell you that. So we'll see. And then from Oddside Ales, an Imperial Stout called Hazel's Nuts.
I saw that on the show notes and it made me giggle.
Yeah,
Hazel's Nuts.
Yeah, at least it isn't D's nuts.
The potty humor.
Although we've had that.
The potty humor is strong with these last few episodes.
It really is.
January is potty humor month for Smoking and Toasting,
Yeah,
apparently.
that's right. Apparently, it's arrived, and here we are. And then a tequila that I brought in today, the Primera Mano Tequila Anejo, which is spending a moment twirling on Mr. Twirlygig there.
Now, if you guys saw Mr. Twirlygig when we started up the show, I don't know if some of you are getting in a little late, but Cruze has once again made sure in the efforts of safety to clear the neck of the bottle and break the seal on it.
Remove that annoying plastic that they put at the top.
Yeah, and the annoying top part of the liquid so it doesn't spill anywhere when you open it.
I'm all about safety, and these
I won't get a plastic cut.
Right,
I don't have to worry about spilling the whiskey.
We go above and beyond the OSHA requirements here.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
That's how we do it. Speaking of tequila, I hope our tequila expert Liliana Rodriguez is
already on.
is listening. I am proud to announce that we have already confirmed for Liliana to be here for our Cinco de Mayo show, which will be the show just before Cinco de Mayo. And I'm always so excited when she's on the show.
Awesome. She's so much fun.
Because not only do we drink a lot of tequila, which is great, but she's just a blast. I love having her on the show.
Yes.
So looking forward to that.
Absolutely wonderful.
A lot of interesting things to talk about. I did mention the Cigar Aficionado list of the best cigars of 2021 is out, so we'll parse that, see what we think, and then we have some other things to talk about. Smoking Tobacco has named Undercrown their cigar of the year. Nice. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then there's New Mexico is proposing an enormous tax hike on cigars. We'll tell you about that. And then cigar prices in general are expected to rise in 2022, even though 2021 was one of the best years ever for premium cigar sales. So I don't know. I suppose supply chain issues affect everything, and cost of shipping and everything else goes up. So I can see why some cigar companies are raising their prices.
Our government looks at it and goes, we made actually some money on that very small percentage of the income, and since we're busy driving up, national debt, we should tax that very small part.
We should
even
take
more.
We should take a small chunk out of that.
I'm pretty sure
taxing.
at this point we pay more in taxes than we do for the cigar.
I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah,
and
especially in some states.
Outrageous.
Especially in some states. Yeah, it's absolutely true. We do want to mention special thanks to our guest from show number 264, Jake Clement from the Texas Whiskey Festival, and you're going to that this year, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be there on Friday night.
Fun times.
That's going to be, that's in April, May, right? May 13th.
Coming up in May.
Yes,
so we have that. Now, I have to mention that I did watch your abbreviated show last week, and I was immediately jealous, not only that you were handling the show
because of the way I did the just
fine.
I nailed that well.
Oh yes, I know. And you were handling the show just fine without me. And why do you think I got better and got back? I don't need you getting any ideas.
Every time Chris Hart tells me that I don't really need that guy and he's holding me back,
he does mention that to you a lot, doesn't he?
I keep thinking, man, maybe Chris is onto something.
Well, in addition to being jealous of you doing the show on your own, I was also really jealous of the cigar you reviewed.
So that cigar, it's really freaking good.
Yeah. I was like, I saw the picture of it coming out. I was like, oh no, it's that cigar.
Really
I haven't had
good.
one yet, so I'm saving up my money so I can buy one.
Even at that price point, it got a 6.
That's amazing.
That's absolutely crazy.
That's just amazing. Well, did you smoke anything interesting this week?
It's funny you should ask because I did.
I had a feeling.
This week I went in and I found something. This is something I haven't had before. This is an Alec and Bradley Kintsugi. Now, this is not Alec Bradley.
Okay.
It's Alec and Bradley.
Right, but it is from the same guys.
But it is Alec Bradley.
Yeah, right. So they just label it up
different. The story behind that is the gentleman, and I'm blanking on his name right. Let me see. Let me see if I have that right here, the information. So
The guy at Casa that you talked to?
Hold on, I'm almost there. Okay, so Alan Rubin's company is called Alec Bradley, and it's named after his two sons, Alec and Bradley.
Right.
Well, Alec is 28 now, and Bradley is 24 now, and they're making their own cigars, and they're called Alec and Bradley. So they're under the Alec Bradley name, but it's Alec and Bradley.
It's kind of a division of
Alec.
Yeah.
Bradley.
Gotcha.
Not to be confusing.
Well,
and this was the Kintsugi.
I'll just, before you go, I'll tell you, I've had this cigar, and I found it to be quite good.
This is the Kintsugi. I had the Robusto. This is a 5x50. This is a Honduran Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan and Honduran binder and filler. This is made in Honduras. The appearance on this has this large dual Kintsugi purple, white, and gold band. Kintsugi is it Japanese? I believe
it's Japanese. Yes,
it's Japanese, and it's the art of like when they repair a pot.
Right, like pottery. When they put the pieces together,
they put the pieces back together, and what they do is they outline it in gold. Where the cracks were, they just highlight that in gold before they put the finish over the top.
And it actually makes the pottery more valuable than it was before it broke.
And it looks incredibly cool because now you have this patchwork with the gold outline. It almost looks like a what do you call it? Like a stained glass window kind of effect. You know how it has the lines in between it and everything. And that's what Kintsugi is. So it's named after that. It has this purple band on it that says Kintsugi, and then around the sides of it, and you'll see in some of the pictures, it has a white area with gold going through it, like a Kintsugi pot would have. The band covers an easy half of the cigar. Like it's an enormous band.
Kind of like the Camacho bands.
It's gigantic. And the cigar itself had a firm feel, light brown, smooth and leathery to the touch, a little bit oily. Very few veins overall. The pre-light sniff on this, I got classic tobacco, light and fruity kind of notes, and some barnyard going on. On the pre-light draw, I used a clip. It had a very light draw. I got sweet, creamy cappuccino, some tea leaf, leather, hints of earth and hay, wood, and tea leaf on the lips. The wrapper left this really nice flavor on the lips. The initial light of this was campfire, wood, white pepper with an underlying sweetness. It's kind of a lot of stuff going on with your initial light. Considering a lot of Nicaraguan cigars, as opposed to this Honduras cigar, have the Nicaraguan pepper blast, and that's really pretty much what you taste.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I was looking back at my notes from when I reviewed this cigar.
Yeah.
And one of the things I said was most of the time I have to get at least half an inch into a cigar before I can get a feel for what it's going to be like. And the first half inch or so is more like one note, like pepper or cedar. But that was not the case with the Kintsugi.
Yeah, this one's complex right out of the gate, so to speak. The first third of this, I got coffee and leather. I got this cashew sweetness, kind of underlying oak, toast, and sweet floral notes show up. Wood and light spiciness on the lips. The retrohale was oak, toast, white pepper. Solid ash, perfect burn. As a matter of fact, I tipped the ash on here exactly 3 times, one for each third of the cigar.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It was almost perfect, right?
I like that.
The second third of the cigar, lighter flavors recede, and earthy, bitter chocolate and leather kind of take over. Cinnamon lingers on the tip of the tongue a little bit. Oaky notes turn to cedar and lightly charred toast. White pepper remains true in the background along with cashew sweetness. The retrohale is cedar, chocolate, toast, and white pepper. Solid ash, perfect burn. I never even got ash on me or anything.
Nice.
The last third of this, I started getting this stone fruit, or like right next to the peach pit, you know, that kind of bitterness you get. I got that appearing in there in kind of a pleasant way, alongside with the sweet, nutty coffee and chocolate flavors. It was very nice kind of contrast to it. So that was really nice. So even though it had that bitterness show up, it was a good kind of bitter. Toast and pepper are constant throughout. Retrohale is cedar, chocolate, and white pepper. Solid ash, perfect burn. I paid $8 plus tax for this cigar. I give it a solid 5. It's worth every penny of $8. It's a fantastic cigar at that. And that will now become one of my kind of go-to in that price range, as I really, really enjoyed the complexity of the flavor profile.
Looking back at my notes on it, one of the things I said was that the cigar tastes expensive. because of the way the flavor
The complexity.
profile is. You
Yeah.
you just feel like you're smoking an expensive cigar.
It has a good feel in the hand too. It has that solid, like well constructed feel in the hand too.
Well, interestingly enough, I also smoked an Alec Bradley this week.
But
But I had a little bit different experience than yours. So let me tell you about the Alec Bradley American Sun-Grown Robusto that I smoked. All right. It was a nice-looking cigar, a little rugged. It was a 5x50. It had a mottled-looking dark brown wrapper leaf that's a Nicaraguan sun-grown Habano tobacco leaf. The binder and filler are also all Nicaraguan. And I believe I remember reading about this, that they didn't necessarily set out to make a Nicaraguan Puro. That's just the blend they wound up
That's
liking.
what they came up with,
and what they came up with. So notes of earth, leather, and rich tobacco on the pre-light. I actually used my cigar scissors on this one to clip and lit it up. Not a big Nicaraguan pepper blast on the first puff, but I could tell it was distinctly spicy. It just wasn't that boom of pepper that we've come to identify as the Norwegian metal band called Nicaraguan pepper blast. Yeah, but I wasn't.
Which means something totally different in Norwegian, by the way.
I think so. Yeah.
And it's spelled with like 17 letters for each
and
word.
I think it's something sexual that it actually means. So, the frustration though about this cigar is I wasn't able to concentrate on the flavors as much because the cigar almost immediately started to canoe.
I'm gonna point out. I'm looking at the picture of that cigar pre-light. Mm-hmm. That's an ugly cigar.
Yeah, well, it a little rugged.
It's rustic.
A little rugged, rustic. Yeah. Well, and as sometimes can be the case with a cigar that looks like that. It started burning uneven, a really funky burn from the very beginning. It was bad enough that by the first 3/4 of an inch, I had to use a lighter to touch it up, and that did seem to help. But that's awfully early to be pulling out the lighter for a touch-up, right? Once the burn started to even out, I definitely got a leathery note from the cigar with a bit of nuttiness and a distinct white pepper on the retrohale. By the second third, I was getting a bit of cedar along with the leather and a little bit of a hint of citrus zest. But even after I tended it with the lighter, the burn took off in a pretty bad run on one side, almost like it was just trying to resist my efforts to get an even burn.
You just had one side of the cigar racing against the other.
I touched it up again at about the halfway point. I will mention that even with the uneven burn, the ash was very firm and held on well, despite the wrapper's burn problems. Leather remained the predominant note all the way through. The final third did give me some hints of black coffee, and the citrus note disappeared completely. I finally got some of that Nicaraguan-style black pepper in the last third as well. The American Sun-Grown Robusto is not an expensive cigar. It comes in at around $6 for the Robusto. I'd be tempted to give it a 5 for the flavors, but not with these burn issues. It's just
that makes it tough.
It was a bit too much, right? I do get that sun-grown leaves do not burn as consistently and as evenly as some other wrappers, so you will expect maybe a bit of an uneven burn sometimes when you're using a sun-grown wrapper. At least in my experience, that's been the case. But when I had to go back and tend it for a third and a fourth time, I just felt that was a little too much for a cigar this short.
That's just construction issue at that point.
I did enjoy the flavors, but not enough to make me recommend it, given its issues. The burn actually made the cigar smoke a little hot on one side by the final third. That negatively impacted the flavors as well. I may try another one to see if I have better luck, because it did show promise, But based on this particular stick, a price to quality would be a 4.
So
That's
for
the
those
best I
of
can
you
give.
who aren't entirely sure about when we talk about a cigar burning a little too hot, that adds a lot of bitterness and off flavors when a cigar burns too hot.
The same thing can happen if you're smoking a cigar and it's really windy and the wind is causing the cigar to burn faster and a little too hot. You're not quite getting the same flavor. That's when I know I'm going to smoke a cigar in the wind. That's why I always go with a less expensive cigar, because I don't want to risk not being able to get all the flavor complexity of something that I really, really love. So I actually try to keep a few dog walker type cigars for when I really want to smoke, but I know it's going to be windy.
Well, and you could tell too, like there are certain cigars that will tolerate burning a little hotter and be okay with it.
Yes, that's true.
But But in general, if your cigar starts burning too hot, or you keep having to tend it and it's burning hot, you'll end up with some bitter flavors, especially in some off-putting flavors.
And when you get a cigar that canoes or does a run on one side, and one side is burning hotter than the other, you can actually sometimes tell that on your lips. The side of the cigar that's burning hotter, your lips will be hotter on that side than they are on the cooler side. So, yeah, so it's not the best smoking experience. Again, the flavors were pretty good, but it was too hard to concentrate on.
So you mentioned, though, that the sun-grown leaves sometimes burn a little less even. I will tell you, when I think of sun-grown, I always think of that Ashton VSG.
The VSG, and those don't burn crooked at all,
those
do
are
they?
brilliant cigars.
Yeah, but that's a much more expensive cigar than this.
That is,
and so they
over
may be
double the price.
They
easily,
may be using just a more premium pick of a leaf that they use to wrap that in. But there are certain, I've noticed that Corojo wrappers and sun-grown wrappers, in my opinion, are a little more prone to burn unevenly. Although on a good cigar, they can burn a little uneven, and it doesn't impact the flavor, and it doesn't require constant touch-ups. And that's what I kept hoping for with this.
Alec Bradley with me is one of those where when I see something new from them, I'll always try it. Because
I love the Kintsugi. That's a really
I hadn't
wonderful
had it before,
cigar.
and that was fantastic.
Yeah,
and I will definitely have those. But, man, I'm generally like, when they come out with something new, I'm always going to try it. It might not be my flavor profile, but it's always generally a good quality product. So I'm going to go ahead and tend to think that your construction issues might have been a one-off.
Yeah.
I hope,
Alec Bradley Prensado?
Prensado.
Yeah. Man, that's a
great
wonderful cigar.
Magic Toast is good.
Oh, Magic Toast is wonderful.
Yeah,
yes.
Magic Toast is
so
nice.
there's a lot of great stuff in their lineup. So
The Max.
The Max is good, and I love their what do you call them? The ones with where the band goes in almost the whole cigar, and it's the Black Market.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another great cigar. So they make a lot of great products. Maybe
Alec
this
Bradley,
one
you should just send us a bunch of cigars and we'll talk about them.
Yeah, we should definitely
Just
do
send
that.
us cigars. That goes for anybody out there listening from a cigar cone. Send us cigars.
Or for that matter, spirit company or beer company.
we can be bought like that.
We're not shy.
We might
about,
not say great things if they're not great. But,
we're not
but
shy
we'll talk
about admitting it. Yeah, we can't be bought completely, but boy, can we be bought partially. For sure.
You will definitely spend time on your product.
All right, tell you what, let's take a break. And by the way, we do like most stuff. We get accused of liking everything, which is not completely true.
Do you know why we do that? You know why that happens?
Why?
Because I spend my money to go buy this stuff. Nobody buys it for us.
Right.
Nobody gives it to us.
So you're not going to go buy something you don't think you're going to like.
Yeah, I'm not going to go out and buy something intentionally that I think, man, I'm not going to like this.
Hey, look, it's Fred's Cigars.
Right?
Right?
Hey, look, someone put out another unbalanced IPA. I'm going to buy that for the show.
Stop. You don't have to make it personal now. You don't have to make it personal. Some of us like that hoppy goodness. All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a break and we'll come back for some goodness, although it won't be an IPA. We'll be trying this Belgian-Style Peche beer from Celis in Austin.
Sounds yummy.
Looking forward to this. It's Smoking and Toasting. I am so glad to be back. Show number 266, and we'll be back right after this. The instinct to talk right over. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. This is the radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza that is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars.
Those
my name
are my
is
favorite
Cruze. Ian is my friend and co-host, and it is nice to be back with you in the studio. Seriously, it wasn't the same without me, was it?
No, it was definitely different.
Thank you for that.
Definitely different.
So there's been so many. We're going to be trying a tequila today that I'm really looking forward to see what you think of it. There's so many actors, celebrities, comedians, musicians getting into the spirits business these days. So it's almost not a surprise now when you see that someone else is entering the space.
Is it Nicolas Cage?
No, it's not quite that good. It's Mark Wahlberg. So tequila is, in fairness to Mark, it is his go-to drink of choice. That's what he likes. So at least it's not just a slap my name on something deal. But he says he's invested in a line of tequila called Fleca Azul. That's Flecha. Flecha Azul. And it was co-founded by Mexican PGA golfer Abraham Ancer and entrepreneur Aaron Marquez. It's funny, Mark Wahlberg says, because when it was first mentioned to me, I said absolutely not. He said, you've got all these other people out there claiming to have gone to Mexico and created tequila and cultivated agave and all this stuff. But they were like, no, that's not what this is. We have two amazing guys who are really young and like-minded. And Mark Wahlberg said he wound up deciding to invest in them. They partnered during the pandemic. And yes, he did visit their distillery in Jalisco, which has been owned and operated by a local family there since 1840.
Wow.
So at least this is not some, sort of Johnny-come-lately, just slap your name on a bottle type thing. He said, I want to put my money where my mouth is, and he cut a big check and got involved with the brand and utilizing all of his resources and fame and what have you, everything that we have going to tap into and utilize to make the brand as successful as possible. They have a Blanco, a Reposado, an Añejo, a Cristalino, and an Extra Añejo.
What is a Cristalino?
Cristalino is the clear tequila. So they filter it for a clear. So you notice,
that was Blanco.
Well, Blanco can be clear, but Cristalino is generally more aged, which has a tendency to add
filtered
color,
for clear,
and then filtered to be clear. And Liliana, you correct me if I'm getting that wrong. But if you take a look at this, now this is an Añejo tequila, and if you hold up that bottle, you can see, from the barrel aging, that's going to add some color to that, almost a caramel.
Yeah, almost looks
color.
like a light whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm looking at a photo of their 5 tequilas, and you're right, the Blanco is clear. But then there's a little more yellow to the Reposado, a little more to the Añejo, and then there's the Cristalino,
which is just
absolutely
white,
crystal clear. So
yeah.
I'll try showing this to the camera from the iPad here and see if you can get a good view of that. You got it? Yeah. All right. So you can see the Blanco is on the left, and then the Cristalino is second from the right. So that's the way it looks. Anyway,
I didn't even know that was a thing. I just thought Blanco was.
We've had a Cristalino on the show before.
Or silver, a lot of people call it.
Right. And we've had a Cristalino on the show before. Yeah, it's interesting because, like with some tequilas, like if you're not careful with Jose Cuervo, they actually market their silver as being a step up from the gold. But what you don't know about the gold is they add coloring to the gold. It's not gold because of its aging. Yeah. There's some.
Liliana confirmed you were right. Cruze Cristalino is an añejo that goes through a filtration process.
Okay.
Does it change the flavor that much?
Now, in my experience, and again, this would be a great question for Liliana, and we'll ask her about this again when we have her on the show. In my experience, I have found the Cristalinos to not have as much of the the vanilla and the oaky flavors of a lot of other añejos. But then again, that might just be the ones I tried because I've only had a handful of them. So there could be some Cristalinos out there that are. I found the Cristalinos to be more agave forward and a little less with the the caramel and the vanilla.
So if you're filtering out that color, you have to think that. Maybe some of the flavor has to be filtered with it.
Or that it would change it in some way.
It has to, sort of, because you're taking stuff out of it.
Well, I will tell you, the last Cristalino I had was very good.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. It just means that there's got to be a certain portion of the flavor molecules, if you will,
that
I will
get removed.
Say,
I'll just go ahead and say this now. Mark Wahlberg, if you're listening, please feel free to come on the show at any time. We'll bump a less important guest like Chris Hart or somebody that we might have scheduled at that time, and be happy to bring you on to talk about your tequila. We'll do the whole show on your tequila if you want to come.
That'd
on.
be fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for Chris to call in that Supreme Iron, and he goes, guys, I had Mark Wahlberg on last week.
You know he did. My only requirement, Mark, I'll let you do the whole show, but you've got to sing at least one line of "It's such a good vibration."
No one's probably ever told him that.
Mark would probably prefer to forget Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, but it existed.
The Funky Bunch.
It existed. I'm just saying,
it's a thing.
It's a thing. Ian, let's taste some beer. I'm ready for some.
I don't know, Cruze. I'm not really feeling beer. Well, that was hard to say.
You're so full of it.
That was difficult.
It really was, wasn't it? Yeah. There are times maybe when you're not feeling like having a beer. but I don't know what those times are.
Yeah, I fill that void with whiskey.
Yeah, okay, good to know. Good
when I come
know.
across, that.
This beer is from Celis Brewery in Austin, one of the older breweries in Texas. St. Arnold is the oldest craft brewery.
Was Celis down for a while? Have they been
sure.
constant? I kind of think
It
like they
feels like-
disappeared for a while and then
It
came
feels
back.
like when the craft brewing explosion kind of happened, that they weren't really coming out with anything. So they might have been, they may have changed ownership. They may have, just kind of sat by and bided their time. But any way you look at it, they are now getting more active, and we're seeing more releases coming from these guys.
You ever been on a road trip and you always got to stop and have like some road trip candy, right?
Sure, yeah.
My wife loves gummies, and she's gotten those little peach gummies.
Oh, I don't know if I've had peach gummies.
They're oddly good.
Yeah?
This smells like those peach gummies.
Well, I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of the smell of an unpeeled peach.
yeah, it doesn't smell like beer.
Right? No, it definitely doesn't. But if you take a peach, maybe you're going to like slice it up, but you haven't cut into it yet. It smells a lot like what the
You could
outer skin
almost-
of that smells like.
I mean, you could. Oh, there's a peach. There's an underlying fruity, and there's a little something else but I wouldn't. If you gave this to me and didn't tell me it was beer, and just to smell it, I don't know that I'd pick up that it was beer.
Well, now tell me what you get when you taste it.
All right. So that was just the first initial sip, and it is sweet and peachy.
It is very peachy.
It
Peche.
is incredible. Yeah, Peche.
Peche.
Peach. It is all those things. It is really sweet, but there's this interesting, like, it's like the bubbles in it, the carbonation in it is like concentrated right on the center of the tongue and dances around and makes it kind of fun.
I'm gonna just say this. This is the best peach beer I've ever tasted. It's got just enough beer on the finish to not come across like a like a citrusy IPA. It doesn't come across as hoppy. It's just a sort of a solid peach. Does it even say what kind?
I'm not sure
of
that
beer
I
this
like
is?
it, but I can't stop drinking it.
Well.
This to me comes across like a good mimosa. Does that make
Interesting.
sense?
Yeah. Says Celis Peche was first brewed by the Belgian brewmaster Pierre Celis in 2002 to 2008. Its original recipe is inspired by the love of Texas peaches, unmalted wheat, and our proprietary Belgian yeast strain, resulting in a burst of mouth-watering orchard fruit and ending in a soft, creamy body, touch of luxury that every palate loves and is oh so refreshing.
There's a champagne-ish kind of bubbly finish to it,
Which speaks
that's
to what
kind
you
of
were
attractive.
saying. Yeah, which speaks to what you were saying about it coming across a little like a mimosa.
So I'm gonna back up. A couple things I said a moment ago. Everything I said is true, and then I said I'm not sure if I like it, but I can't stop drinking. Also true, but I think I'm starting to like it a little more. After a few sips, it's a little polarizing with the first sip because it is very peach and it's very sweet.
Well, I love it. I appreciate when a beer that markets itself as being a particular sort of a fruit, like let's say like a mango IPA. If I can't really taste mango in there, I'm always a little disappointed. You know?
Now, why don't they put this upside down in like a fruity margarita?
Oh, that'd be good.
Can you imagine? Like how this would be amazing.
Instead of a cheap, crappy beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it would actually be kind of amazing.
I agree. Because a peach margarita can be delicious.
Yeah. Imagine this in there. This is the more I drink it, the more I like it. I can't stop drinking it, so it does an interesting thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of the Doritos effect is definitely
They
happening.
managed to somehow capture too, and this is the second time it showed up today in our conversation, but that little bit of bitterness next to the peach pit. Right?
Right. It's not just this sort of. It's not like a peach punch at all.
It's not a peach flavor.
Right.
It tastes like a peach.
It tastes like a peach.
Yeah.
Right. And if you think about it, well, just like I was saying from the nose, is a lot like the smell of a peach before you even cut into it.
Yeah.
You know?
Because peaches have that bitter. Like the closer you get to the pit, the more bitter that meat becomes, and it has just some of that. So it really comes across authentic. The more I drink this, the more I like it.
You know what I think I'm going to do? After the show, I'm going to stop and I'm going to buy a 6-pack of this at Specs. And then I'm going to move into the country and eat me a lot of peaches.
You're going to move into the country?
Yeah, and eat me a lot of peaches.
Eat a lot of peaches.
Yeah. You know, peaches come from a can. They were put there by a man, of course, but, you know. To everyone who is young enough to not know
to all
what
you
that
90s
kids,
is, Generation X knows what you're talking about.
I apologize, and please don't go look up the band The Presidents of the United States of America, because that's who did that song Peaches. Don't go look them up thinking that they are a true representative of 90s rock music, because they're not.
Well, yeah, but in a way they kind of are.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're a true representative of things that happened in the 90s.
It's like saying Justin Bieber is a true representative.
But then again,
of things
so
that
is
happened
Fiona
in the
Apple.
2000s.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that first Fiona Apple album.
Apparently her last one's pretty good. I haven't listened to it yet. Have you heard it?
Yes, and it's hard to listen to.
Is it really?
I read all of the critic reviews about how wonderful it was, and I kind of get it. But you ever pick up a book that's supposed to be like an author's finest work, and you don't enjoy reading it? That was what it was like to me listening. Like I can recognize that she's being really brilliant, but
you're not enjoying it.
I think I'll go put her first album on again. You know, it's that kind of thing. But that's just me. I mean, I recognize how brilliant it was, and I'm that way with Kanye. Like everybody talks about what a genius he is, right? And I recognize, especially in some of his earlier stuff, he's pretty groundbreaking.
808s and Heartbreaks is probably the pinnacle of.
But I have a hard time getting through the album.
Yeah,
it's again probably just me, but I like some pretty crappy stuff. So there's no accounting for taste, is what I'm trying to say. But I will say, though, there is a lot of accounting for taste with this beer. I like it very much, and this will become something that I buy on the regular.
I wasn't sure at the very beginning of my taste adventure with it, but the more I drink it, the more I like it.
I'm just curious. We poured some for Adam. Adam, what was your take on the Peche? Did you like it?
I think it's a little sickly sweet.
See, that's interesting because I
got with my first sip.
I didn't get sickly sweet from it.
That's what I got with my first sip. But after the subsequent sips, once I shocked my palate with that sweet, and then I had a few more sips, actually, the more I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It has a little bit of that mouth-watering. You remember that sports gum that you get that would make your mouth water?
Oh, yes. I know.
It has a little bit of that going on.
I remember what squirt
Gator
gum?
gum or
Gator
squirt gum. Yeah. You know what I'm talking
Man,
about.
well, you want to talk about a dated reference there. How long has it been since that was on the market?
I think they still have that at Academy or something like it.
So here's what I would recommend. Go to Specs or HEB or your favorite place where they will let you do like a mixed 6-pack and get at least one can of this. Try it because I think you're going to like it.
I got to be honest with you. This right here, now that I've had a little bit more of it, if I was going somewhere where everyone was sitting around having mimosas or what's the other like morning brunch?
Bellinis?
Yeah, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
A can of this would take the exact same place.
Let me go you one more.
It's small bubbles. It's
fruity. You're around some people.
It's got a little champagne-y kind of finish.
You're around some people drinking hard seltzers. This would kick any hard seltzer's ass immediately.
Oh, yeah.
There's no competition.
It doesn't have nasty aftertaste.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still like light and fruity.
There are a few hard seltzers out there I've found that don't have nasty aftertaste that
Topo
are actually
Chico.
palatable.
Yeah.
Topo Chico, Eureka Heights makes one.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that Bud Light Seltzer has now come out with Bud Light Seltzer something else. It's like they've literally watered down their name like 3 times.
They're selling the color of it. It's bold and bright. I saw that on a billboard. They're not selling the seltzer. They're just selling how boldly colored it is.
First of all, Bud Light sucks. Why would you want to try that for your seltzer? I know it's just a brand name slapped on there, But why would that be where you'd go expecting to get quality, right? If they don't make quality beer.
Rice seltzer.
Why would exactly? I'm still waiting for them to make what was it? Bud Light Lime Hard Seltzer.
Right.
The seltzer of all floor wax professionals everywhere.
What about Michelada?
Oh my God.
Hard seltzer.
Oh, that's just wrong. That's wrong on
Or
so many
Clamato.
levels.
They had a Clamato in the can.
Yeah. I'm going to try to stay away from Clamato. Thank you very much.
Clamato in a can.
That sounds too contagious. So, all right, let's take a break and we will be back. We got a lot to do on the show today. We have more to taste, of course, and I'm really excited to get you to taste this new Bell's IPA and see if Bell's can
Let's do it.
win
Have you
you
tasted
over
it yet?
one more. No, I have not.
All right.
I've been saving this for the show, so I'm excited. And I am also going to be excited to get into this list from Cigar Aficionado of the best cigars of the year for 2021.
Sweet.
So we'll start that when we come back. Welcome back. It is a wonderful day here in the studio as we do Smokin' and Toastin' show number 266. So you did like 265 and a half last week?
Yeah,
Is that what you call it? So we'll just call today 266 and be done with it. That's the way we'll do it.
I noticed last week when I did the show, it was a lot less crowded in here.
Yeah. And you had you actually had beers and spirits, you'd have had a lot more for yourself.
I had room to talk too.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Yeah. And you'd have had room to drink if you'd been able to get anything in here. So I'm sorry about how last minute that was. I really thought up until about 45 minutes before the show I was going to make it, and then I realized I was being wildly
not gonna
optimistic.
make
Yeah, it ain't happening. So Cigar Aficionado has released their list, and they are probably considered the most influential of the cigar publications.
Yes.
Their list carries the most weight. You know, our friend Alan Denny, who I was sick enough I had to miss his birthday party too. Did you go down there and see
Yes.
Alan? How was that? Did you have a good time?
I had a blast.
Oh man, I'm so bummed.
I had a blast.
I'm
His
so
friend
bummed.
Doug is opening a cigar bar out in Kemah.
Oh yeah,
He's always interesting to talk about. We'll definitely do a show out there.
that
when we
sounds
get a chance.
fun. Well,
And then Trenton Smith was out there, so we got to hang and talk with him for a little bit.
Well, Alan, if you're listening, happy birthday, buddy! I'm so bummed that I missed the get together, and we will hang soon. I hope if you'll forgive me for being on the toilet during your birthday.
I was going to tell him you just refused to go to his house.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know. Yeah, it's Alan, you know. No, but one of the things Alan told us is when he used to work for EP Carrillo, during the time that he worked there, they got #1 cigar that year in the Cigar Aficionado.
That changes the
cigars,
whole
and
company.
it changed the whole company, right? The amount of demand skyrocketed. So really, any cigar that makes the list, I feel like, is going to have a good year. And obviously, the higher you do, the better your ranking on this thing, the better you'll do. So we'll start with number 25 on the list. Where have I heard of this cigar? The Alec and Bradley Kintsugi.
Number
Comes in at
25
number 25 on the
Nice.
list. Yeah.
I'm not
we-
the only one that likes it.
and we both had it and liked it very much.
Right.
They picked the Corona Gorda as their number 25, but it is a Kentsugi nonetheless.
I will be honest, my size selection this morning was due to time restraint.
I understand that happens.
100%.
I understand. At number 24, EP Carrillo's La Historia E3. So this is
It's a great
a
cigar.
newer iteration of the La Historia, which has always been a
I'm an
great cigar.
EPC fanboy. Their inch is one of my favorites.
And at number 23, and I had one of these, reviewed one of these on the show over the last year, and I remember liking it a lot. The Ashton Heritage Pure Soul Churchill. Pure Soul, the Churchill.
Yes,
which is
I think I did that not too long ago, too.
I think you did, yeah. We'll do just a couple more, and then we'll taste some beer. At number 22... Woohoo! This is me like celebrating
Oh, this has to be an AJ blend.
the
huh?
Ramon Ayones by AJ Fernandez, the
Nice.
Torpedo. And you know what? I have not had that cigar, so that will be on my.
All right, are we taking bets on how
must-purchase
many
list.
times AJ is going to show up on this list?
How
form
many
or another.
How many times would you guess?
I'm going for 4.
See, I think it'll be 3. I don't think they'll give anybody 4 spots on the list.
I think they're going to get, well, it'll be a blend by him of
Maybe.
some sort.
All right, we'll see. You say
I'm going
4,
for
I say
4.
3. We've hit 1 so far, and so we'll go ahead and pause there and allow you to do a little bottle opening. Very nice.
We had to get all the sounds
You're
there.
smoking and toasting bottle opener.
Let's see
I
if we
like
can
it.
get the pour.
So this is Bell's Brewery, Comstock, Michigan. Oh, that was nice. It was subtle, but it was nice. And I can already tell you it's a nice, very amber brown looking IPA.
It is pretty. Man,
You know,
you can't take me anywhere. I'm
So
spilling
this
beer
is
myself.
this is how I am with IPAs. You poured the first one, which I generally pass to Adam, and then I noticed that the one you poured for me was a tiny bit less, so I swapped that and send that one to Adam, and I keep the I keep the one that's more
Adam
full.
always has beer left over there, though.
I know he's just not he's got to operate machinery. All we have to do is talk. So Bell's obviously is a really well known, very well respected brewery in Michigan. This is from their double IPA series, so it's a double IPA they're calling
Smells
Mars.
amazing.
Mars, the bringer of war, was inspired by the music of Gustav Holst. Holst did The Planets, right? The classical music piece, The Planets. An intense hopping regimen imparts incredible notes of tropical fruit, citrus, and pine, while Munich malt provides balance and a deep red hue.
So
it's red like the
I
red
want to point out, I
planet.
haven't tasted this yet, but on the nose, I want to point out, when you put this up to your nose, you get floral.
Oh, yeah.
You get pine.
Yes.
But you get round, like roasted malt.
Roasted malt, yeah. Roasted malt and barley for sure. And that's why you like the Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's, their IPA, is because of the malty balance that they give along with the really crisp and pretty intense blast of hops.
This has a lingering bitterness.
It sure does. It's almost like an ESB kind of a bitterness.
I was going to say it reminds me of your attitude towards Yellow Rose, but
Oh, by the way, did I tell you this?
yes, you did.
Okay, yeah. So there was a certain person from that company that no-showed on us twice without notice. Was supposed to be on the show twice. First time didn't show at all. Second time canceled like 10 minutes before the show. And I will admit, I can hold a grudge for a while. Like, one time I understand, like if it's legit. Even 2 times would be okay if there was notice, but there wasn't. That person apparently is no longer with Yellow Rose.
They make great whiskey anyway.
So let me just put this invitation out. If you're with Yellow Rose and you're somebody other than that dude whose email bounces back now, we are happy to host you on the show and taste your whiskey, because your whiskey actually is really good.
It's real good.
Yeah. So, but you mentioned the bitterness. Does that turn you off to this particular double IPA?
No, not particularly. This is bitter in a way. This is a lot like what you get when you get a Arrogant Bastard. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of bitter. It's a dark bitter.
Reminds me of an ESB.
It's not a
bitter.
bright piney bitter. Mm-hmm. It's a dark bitter that you get more like what you said, like an ESB.
It's a roasted malt bitter,
and it's
almost.
definitely like a burnt caramel, burnt malt a little bit, burnt a little too much, but in the best possible way. Like burnt in the way where like you wouldn't want the top of your pie to be that way, but you want that one little edge.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, it's the whole concept behind a creme
or the top
brulee.
of your casserole, or whatever.
It's the whole concept behind like a creme brulee, right? Like it's that little bit of burnt on top that really gives it the flavor. That burnt sugar,
So I like how round this is up front. This comes across very round up front. This is a nice beer.
Yeah,
this
it really
is. This
is.
is a good job. What does it say on the bottle?
I will say too that it feels like a double when you drink it. It doesn't feel like
it definitely does.
a single. Does it say how high the ABV is?
That's what I was looking for.
They might HEB.
Oh, 10.1. Good job, sir.
My goodness.
It doesn't actually drink 10.1.
No, but it does feel big. I will say that.
It does. It's viscous. It's actually more viscous than it looks.
I would guess it for an 8.5 probably.
I like this. I'm going for a little more.
And,
it is.
I will.
It is unforgivingly bitter.
Yeah.
But in a good way, though. It's,
so you feel
it's not trying to be friendly.
You feel like they achieved the balance, though.
But I feel like, balance is one of those things. Yeah, I think so, because when I'm done, there's a lot of bitter going on, but it's not a distracting, like want to scrape my tongue off kind of bitter.
Right.
Like some IPAs will give me. This is a lot friendlier, and it's just got a. I bet this would go great with a Connecticut.
Oh, like
Connecticut
a lighter
shade,
Connecticut
or like
shade,
an Aladino Connecticut, or what's the other one I was thinking? The Fuente Hemingway.
The Fuente Hemingway, or maybe even like a Monte Cristo White.
You know what I had recently that I hadn't had in a while is the Nub Connecticut.
Ooh, how is that?
Great cigar. I forgot about it. I just don't buy it because when I buy a Nub, I always buy the Maduro.
Buy the Maduro,
They're great, you know, or the Habano. Habano's free.
Well,
but I got one in a mix pack, and I forgot how good that thing is. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'll just mention being exceedingly proud of myself because this has been in my beer fridge for about a month. And I really wanted to bring it on the show, but didn't have the opportunity. The fact that it arrived intact with a cap still on it today, I think says something about my self-control. Because I've been wanting to try this.
I have to be honest. This would be a very dangerous beer for me because poured into a glass, I think this would go down so smooth that glass would last, and the time would be counted in very few minutes.
And then you'd have another one.
And then it'd be 10%.
Yeah, exactly. You know. Well, it's very good. And it appears to be, it's part of the double IPA series, so I'm guessing that it's limited. So if you want to try this, I would hop on it as soon as you see it.
Yeah, the artwork
somewhere.
on it's real nice. The picture
very
the picture of
nicely
Mars
done.
on there.
Mars, the god of war. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. More of the top 25 cigars of the year for 2021 from our friends at Cigar Aficionado, and more to taste, including a little bit of tequila next. We're going to break open this. We're going to break open this bottle here and try some añejo. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, we're only a segment away now from a little drinking news. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. This is the program that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. It's show number 266, and as of yet, even with you doing, the partial show last week, no one has stepped in and tried to stop us.
That's madness, isn't it?
They haven't been able to. Amazing.
I mean, I got no resistance last week whatsoever.
That's good. That's good to know. I thought it was good, but I enjoyed watching the show. I thought your drinking news was awesome.
I have to tell you, it's funny because, when we started this show, I had exactly zero experience doing anything like this. I've done a few interviews from being in a band and things like that.
You've been a musician, so you've been on the mic, right?
Yes, and I'm not exactly what you call shy on a microphone.
Right.
Doing live shows and singing and whatnot like that. But at the same time, getting up here and just talking and being interesting, while I have the second half of that going on all the time, just getting up here and talking onto a mic is a little weird. It takes a skill that I did not have at first.
And I will tell you from, having a career on the microphone and radio, it's a lot weirder when it's just you.
Yeah.
If you get somebody to talk to, you can talk to that person, right? But if you're only talking to the people on the other side of the camera or the other side of the stream, or
you have to
broadcast,
assume a lot of responses.
Yeah.
I also had Adam there, and he chimed in a few times to help bolster it. It was a lot of fun, though. To be honest with you, it's a lot of fun, and I could not have even gone that far with it.
Well, I thought it was good.
4 years ago.
I'm thinking of taking more vacations.
Well, exactly.
I thought you did great.
You're gonna have to talk about a pay raise.
Yeah. You're not the first one to ask. Adam's increased, time on the show. He's over here going, "Hey, I got no beer and no liquor last week."
That's your son-in-law, though. He's like either I get a raise or I'm gonna be at your house for dinner more often.
Oh, there's always that. So, and he's always welcome. Cigar Aficionado's list of the top 25. Kentsugi came in at number 25. The Epicurio La Historia E3 at 24. Ashton's Heritage Puro Sol Churchill at 23. At 22 was the Ramon Ayones by AJ Fernandez Torpedo. And I've had the Ramon Ayones by AJ, but I have not had that Torpedo.
No, I haven't had the Torpedo.
That showed up, so I'm excited to try that. At number 21, and I'm going to be honest, I was really excited to see this because I'm not used to this brand making top 25 end-of-year list. The Padilla 88 Anniversario Robusto. I like Padillas, but I always think of them as kind of like a B-level
kind of
brand.
Well,
not like an El
little
Cheapo.
old school.
Yeah, right. Not like an El Cheapo, but maybe just not like the coolest boutique thing there is.
They're
You know what I mean?
kind of, to me, they're like Punch, or they're like Monte Cristo. They're always around, and they're always going to be okay. They're always going to be good.
Cigar Aficionado says it's a new smoke that hit the market earlier last year to honor the 88th birthday of Gilberto Padilla, who was a famed Cuban poet who was imprisoned in 1971 because he had the gall to criticize the Cuban government.
Madness.
Yeah, I know.
Man,
Anyway,
that's not historically something that happens.
so the smoke is gorgeous. The smoke is gorgeous, made in Nicaragua by AJ Fernandez.
That's
Ding,
two.
ding, ding, ding. That's two. And it has a beautiful Ecuador Havana wrapper and a touch of the Pele de Oro filler, which is that really rare volcano-grown
I feel like I
filler.
just did a review on whatever you're about to say.
Did you do a
recently.
review on this Padilla?
Oh,
On
no, not
the
on
88th
Padilla. Did I?
Anniversario. Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, I can tell you, Ian, we are now in uncharted AJ territory because you said he would show up 4 times on this list. I said 3, and we've already got 2. So,
Yeah.
and we're only at number 21. When we get to number 20, it's a familiar and unfamiliar one for me because I've had the La Flor Dominicana Chisel before, and that's one of the strongest cigars I've ever smoked.
It's brutal.
But the number 20 on the list is the La Flor Dominicana Airbender Chisel. Now, I will admit that I would have avoided this cigar, and I have not had it, so I'll have to try it now. But I would have avoided this cigar just based on the fact that they put Airbender in the name, because that was a really shitty movie. The Last Airbender that was like a M. Night Shyamalan, where by the end no
was
one
bad.
except for him knew what the movie was about. It was really bad.
Wait, isn't that every M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Except for that first one with Bruce Willis in it, the I See Dead People one. What was
Oh,
it?
that one was real
That was a
good.
great movie, and he just went progressively downhill after that.
Now, hold on a second.
Now-
Did he also do the Unbreakable one?
Yeah, that was pretty
'Cause
good. but
that one was pretty
see,
good.
that was an early one. He did like it was either the next movie or the second movie after I See Dead People, whatever that one was. I don't know.
Then he did that one movie that was about the village, and you had to put a stick down next to your TV to see if the plot was even moving.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And then he did another one where I swear this is true. I went to see it in the theater. It was before I'd given up on M. Night Shyamalan. It had Mark Wahlberg in it, who's we talked about earlier in the show, and he was fine in it. But you could actually see boom mics coming down to record the dialogue. And it was so obvious that the only thing I could figure is that he was doing it on purpose, that it was like, and then I spent the whole movie thinking, what is he trying to say? Like, what is the meaning of the visible boom mic? Other than that, the movie was terrible. So
Life is a
maybe
movie.
that was the only thing entertaining about
Well,
the
hey,
movie.
if the production was bad, at least the movie was bad too.
And I will say this, by the way. Apparently, there's a series on Netflix, an animated series called The Last Airbender that's really
good.
good.
Yes,
So
I
I have
watched
not
that,
seen that, but I will mention that. Anyway, the La Flor Dominicana Airbender Chisel, a $10.20 cigar from Lito Gomez, the master blender for La Flor Dominicana. They have built a reputation, of course, with powerhouse cigars, and according to Cigar Aficionado, the Airbender Chisel lives up to those expectations. Not for the beginner or not a great smoke on an empty stomach, they say.
This is not Fisher Price, my first cigar.
But they say it has a combination of sweet cocoa buttressed by spicy licorice, savory leather, and plenty of spice.
Yeah, and I like a cigar that's that full once in a while, but I have to be in the mood for
when you're
it.
in the mood for that, or like a diesel.
Diesel or La Flor. There's some of those are pretty big.
Should I go on, or we want to drink tequila now?
Mas tequila, por favor.
All right, so
I
this
just do
tequila,
most of the Spanish that I know.
which stands for much tequila.
Por favor.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you like pepper?
I do like pepper.
Because this tequila is peppery and, wait for it, caramely and buttery.
It's the Primera Mano Tequila Anejo. And this was a completely new tequila to me. I found this on the shelf at Specs. And interestingly, so the Specs where I shop, which is the large one, the Midtown Houston one, on Smith Street. They used to have tequila used to be one aisle, right? Then they started adding in the
Mezcal.
other agave spirits, mezcal and sotol. Now, tequila, mezcal, and sotol is 2 aisles all its own. And, whoa, you okay there, buddy?
Don't inhale tequila.
And so there's a lot of stuff, and I found this. I hadn't seen it before, so I grabbed it. And it is, I haven't this is the part where I pretend I haven't
Liliana,
tasted it before.
the NOM is $15.92.
Mm-hmm.
1592 NOM.
So you do get a lot of, almost like granular black pepper on the
big time,
first
big time.
sip. But then, like you said, wait for it. Here comes the caramel, and
vanilla.
the vanilla
finish
is
like
pretty
ridiculous.
serious.
It's almost obnoxious, but not necessarily in a bad way.
So the way it starts reminds me of Hornitos Añejo, which is a good
Very
tequila,
peppery, yeah.
but only if you like pepper, right?
Yeah.
And pepper's kind of its only real note. I mean, there's
Right.
some agave and a little bit of maple
Well,
in there.
Hornitos is not what
but
I'd
it's-
call a complex tequila. It's
and even their Añejo is,
Right.
it's pretty pepper forward. So this starts like that, but then that pepper kind of dissolves into a really sort of a tasty
it's
mix of vanilla and maple and caramel.
the maple, I missed that. Yeah, the caramel and the buttery, the butteriness, that happens right as you swallow. There's this butteriness. And then when you swallow, you get this caramel finish. And if you sit for just a minute longer and let that, not caramel, but a vanilla finish, if you sit for just a little bit longer past that,
The pepper
you
comes
end
back?
up you end up with the tequila hug, but you also end up with this mineral water, this very
the
hard
minerality,
mineral
yes.
water kind of feel going on. That's kind of pleasant too.
What I find interesting about it is that it's got more heat than, say, Skelly. Even though it reminds me a little bit of Skelly in the flavor profile, more pepper, but beyond that, reminds me a little bit of the Skelly, but it's got a lot of heat on the back end.
Skelly though is so buttery smooth
And
Buttery.
almost no heat.
Yeah.
This is not like that at all. You definitely know you're having tequila with this.
Yeah, is this a straight up 40%? Yep. I'm for it. What does a bottle of this go for?
About $44.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty nice buy. If you like
For an
peppery-
añejo, that's a good price.
Yeah, no. If you like peppery and you like complex, this has a few of those things going on. It's it's pretty nice.
It's interesting to me when I scan the tequila shelves, how many brands are represented with maybe a Blanco and a Reposado, and that's it. There is no Añejo. Or if there is, it's not something they've chosen to stock. And it makes me wonder, especially when some of the Reposados are coming in at $40 and $50. It's like, I wonder if they just stopped there. Maybe they don't have tequila aged long enough yet to be Añejo. But it only has to go like 3
less
years.
than 2 years. Yeah, 2 to 3 years, right?
Right.
Huh.
As you would say, Ian, I'm for it.
I'm for it. It's good.
A
I
very
will
good
tell
tequila.
you though, most of the time, a tequila and cigar pairing is pretty much a no-brainer. But this would beat up almost any cigar. You'd have to have something that doesn't interfere with the pepper in this.
Something without a whole lot of its own pepper, you're thinking?
Yeah, something like that. Something that has a lot more chocolatey kind
Maybe
of
like
notes.
a Magic Toast, which we mentioned
The
earlier.
Magic
in the show.
Toast would probably be a nice one, probably like a what's the one I'm blanking on? Flor Dominicana, the Ligero leaf. That's not real peppery, but is a big chocolate bomb, and also a big flavor would have to stand up to this.
Right.
There's
Right. You couldn't go too mellow with it, or the tequila would just obliterate it.
no. If you were smoking almost any Connecticut with this, it would just bury it. It would just taste
Agreed.
like burnt tobacco and not have a lot of character.
It's pretty darn good, though.
It is good though. It's interesting. I bet though.
Getting a little chocolate now.
I bet this makes a great mixer.
Oh, see.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like if you do a tequila, something where the tequila can shine through, I think this would add a lot of interest to whatever.
I need to learn how to make a tequila sunrise.
Yeah.
That's a pretty complicated drink, I think. We should have, what we should do is we should have, Peter Clifton is
does
going to
make
come on the
drinks.
show. I wonder if they would make us a tequila sunrise. I'd just love to see how one is made. You know?
If you do that, I'll learn it on ukulele.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun. We have our own Tequila Sunrise song.
It'll be a Tequila Sunrise serenade.
Speaking
sir.
of, I did while I was recovering from...
Sir.
While I was recovering from not feeling good, I decided to try to learn another cocktail. So I'm really good at martinis.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the margarita down, right? And I've made a few other things that I've thought were pretty good, but I really wanted to learn how to do a really good mojito. Dude, I think I nailed it. According to my wife, at least, who is not the type to say...
You put on your muslin pants and got to it,
that's right. She's not the type to say if it wasn't good. She said I nailed it, so I'm pretty excited. I used a white Flor de Caña 3-year rum, and I muddled that mint and lime like crazy, and used a little club soda. I'm going to try it with Topo Chico, too, and see how that works. But, I was pretty pleased.
You know, Flor de Caña, it's fun you mentioned them. If I want basic, really good rum, I am all about Flor de Caña. That's pretty much where I go.
Well,
and if I want a rum that just has its own interest, I'm always Plantation.
See, Plantation is the rum we're never without at my house.
Ever since I got to taste the Isle of Fiji rum on the show.
You had to wait a while for that, didn't you?
When Greg brought it on the show. When Doc's brought it on the show.
Hey, speaking of Doc's reached out to us, and we're lining him up for a future show because guess what they've got at Plantation?
Ooh.
A new rum from Australia.
I saw an ad for that.
I'm very excited about being able to sample that with Doc's.
I saw an ad for that.
And I'm
not sure what to think about that, but I'm excited.
I'm also completely curious because every time Doc's comes on the show, his hair has changed. So I'm interested to see what sort of hairstyle he's got.
Man, I went to his Christmas party, which was an absolute blast, by the way.
Yeah.
But I could tell his house from the light pollution in the air. I mean, that guy was trying to sag the whole neighborhood.
That is so Doc's.
Like all his neighbors, their lights and stuff had to be flickering because
it'd be a little dim.
When he turns on his Christmas lights, the whole neighborhood's like.
They're watching TV and the screen kind of starts to flicker. Like, damn that Doc's. Oh, I love it. You know, and he's a big Disney file too.
Oh yeah, you should have seen his yard.
Way into the Disney thing. All right, well, Doc's, we love
awesome.
you, and you know you're welcome on the show anytime. But we're very excited.
Yeah,
to try
I sat out with some of
your
his
new
friends
rum.
on the patio. As him and his wife are so fun. They're fantastic hosts. But I sat out there and had cigars and beers and. We had a good old time.
That's awesome. I did not get the invitation because apparently it was on Facebook and I didn't see it. Yeah, I've been trying. The whole Facebook thing, other than doing the show on there, it just gets so political sometimes. I just don't want to engage. You know what I mean?
See, I just don't engage.
Yeah, but you still found out about the party.
Yeah, well, when people send me invitations, it shows up on my feed.
Oh, okay. See, now I got to start.
It sends me a thing saying so and so invited you.
I gotta start looking at my notifications.
And I pretty much ignore most other things.
Yeah. I know because I've invited you to
if someone
tons of
responds
stuff.
to me, if someone sends me a link or tags me in something, I'll usually go on there and check that out. But
the last notification I got was so and so wants to argue with you about politics, and I was just like, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I don't play that game.
Yeah, not going there. All right, I tell you where I am going, though. I'm going back for some more of this tequila. This is quite delicious. We will sip a little more of this, and when we come back, we're going to finish the list of Cigar Aficionado cigars, and we're going to do a little thing on the program that we like to do called Drinking News. And see, I surprised you there because you had the bottle of tequila in your hand, so you didn't.
So I didn't get to have
you
my.
didn't get to do your little musical tease, but feel free as we go out to the break if you want to, pick it up and do a little musical tease for Drinking News.
A little musical tease for Drinking. You ready?
By the way, I didn't tell you the Drinking News teaser headline today. It's "Don't Have a Cow, Man." We'll be right back to explain on Smoking and Toasting. That sounds pretty good on the ukulele, you know? Welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. We are so glad to have you here and hanging out with us as we do our little program about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. This is the 266th of these that we have done.
That is at least halfway to 300 now.
I'm pretty excited about the whole thing.
What do you think our 300th episode is going to look like?
I don't know, man. I'm just hoping we get past all this crazy, COVID stuff to the place where we can congregate and hang out.
Because if we have to set up a 300th episode with all of our past guests on the show, and they have to be 6 feet apart from each other.
Yeah, we have to do that in a stadium somewhere.
Adam, you are going to be running around.
It should be fun, though. However we do it.
That's a lot of cameras.
It should be fun. Speaking of fun, ladies and gentlemen, we now present our most popular segment here on Smoking and Toasting. It's a little something we like to call...
Drinking News, Drinking News. Now it's time for Drinking News, Drinking News, Drinking News. Now it's time for Drinking News. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said, I
had to take my gator to the vet.
Drinking News, Drinking News. Now it's time for Drinking News.
Cheers, y'all. Drinking News, ladies and gentlemen, is the segment on the program where we bring you a story that is sometimes, occasionally, about drinking, but is always, for sure, best consumed, best listened to when you've been drinking. Mm-hmm. And we have, since Ian poured more tequila.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers to you, my friend. We love the stories for Drinking News that start out by using the three words "a Florida man," but that's not the case for today.
But that's like saying it was made by Alec Bradley. It's just already.
Yeah.
That you're going to enjoy it.
Goodness is going to ensue. Yeah. Today we start out though with a Turkish man. A Turkish farmer, to be specific, has come up. He's come up with a new way to produce more milk from his cows.
Oh, squeeze harder.
Izet Kosak, the Turkish farmer, who I'm probably mangling his name and for which I apologize. It's Kosak, Kosak. Izet Kosak, the Turkish farmer, has managed to increase the milk output of two of his cows from 22 liters to 27 liters per day.
That's pretty substantial.
That's a 5-liter increase. That's quite a bit for, a particular cow. And he did this after reading a study that suggested that cows inside a barn produce less milk than those in an outdoor environment. Which kind of makes sense, right?
Okay.
So while
cows got to be free.
While weather and other factors make keeping the cows inside the barn a necessity, Kosak seems to have found a way to successfully game the system. He's outfitted two of his cows with virtual reality goggles to show them images of the great outdoors while they happily munch on hay and produce milk during their time in the barn. They are watching a green pasture, and it gives them an emotional boost, he said. They're less stressed. To make the imagery work, IT specialists needed to tweak the color palette in the software to make it suitable for the animal's unique vision because cows can't see red or green. They are only able to perceive dull shades of yellow and blue. Kosak had tried using classical music to soothe his cows, but apparently nothing has worked as well as the VR goggles, and he plans to purchase 10 more pairs for his other cattle. Now, that's mildly funny, but the picture is worth 1,000
I gotta
words.
see the picture.
Is that picture up, Adam? Yeah, I think. Okay, that's a cow with VR goggles on. I can't explain to you why that is funny. You just have to see the image. So if you're just listening to the audio of this, Josh, you will want to go to the YouTube feed of this show just so you can see the photo of the cow with the VR goggles on.
Okay, how much does it cost for one of those VR goggles?
I'm not sure. But it can't be too much because Kosak says he plans to purchase 10 more pair for his other cat.
Apparently, but going outside in the grass, like they can't just.
But in the winter in Turkey, you can't do that.
Oh, I suppose there's that.
Social media has dubbed the experiment the Matrix for cows, which makes me wonder, how can the cows... wait a second. How can the cows take the red pill or eat the red hay if they can't see the color red? I'm just asking.
You don't let them eat the red hay. They got to take the blue hay.
And reporting from inside the bovine matrix, my name is Cruze, and that.
Oh, hold on before you're done.
Yeah.
There's a video game I play. It's called Diablo.
Oh, Diablo. I've heard of that. Yeah, I haven't
Diablo
played it, but I've
has
heard
a
of it.
mad cow level.
Mm.
It's a very hack and slash game. It's very singular. There is a storyline, but no one cares what it is. But there are certain.
I love that. There is a storyline, but nobody cares.
Nobody cares. You go kill stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're done killing that stuff, you go kill more stuff. And every once in a while, there's a portal.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking about this. There's a mad cow level. And you better be a beefy character because the mad cows that walk around with giant
slashing tools.
Will jack you up. And they go around saying moo. This just makes me think of the mad cow level.
I'm trying to remember. There was an old video game like several game generations ago that I played where aliens came and abducted cows, and you had to like save the cows to keep them from being abducted by aliens.
What that
It was
is.
a really goofy game, but it was a lot of fun. I can't remember the name of it now. But somebody will know because I can't be the only one that played that game.
And that is.
Reporting from inside the bovine matrix. My name is Cruze, and that's your
Drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
cheers, y'all. I missed doing drinking news last week, but you had a good one.
I pulled that out, and that's what I had.
I was very very proud of you, my friend.
I mean, just the thought that someone goes, you know what'll fix this?
A virtual reality helmet. You gotta love it. It's an inventive,
If we can't bring
creative way of
we
thinking.
can't bring the cows out to the grass.
Yeah, if the mountain will not come to Mohammed.
That's right.
Number 19 on the cigar aficionado list, the San Luis Rey Carrenas Toro. Mm-hmm. We talked about that one, and we liked it very much, didn't we?
That's a good one.
Yeah, that comes in at number 19 on the
San
cigar
Luis Rey is
aficionado
another one
list.
of those that I overlook a lot of times, and they're
They're
good.
kind of a forgotten brand. In fact, the Cigar Aficionado review of this says the sleepy San Luis Rey brand got some new life last year when Altadas released the San Luis Rey Carrenas, which was made in Honduras at the Flor de Copan factory. The theme is Old World meets New World, and that is largely what I remember.
Yeah.
From that cigar is kind of that vibe. At number 18, the Ramon Allones Gigantes. It is this one, I believe, is this a Cuban cigar? Yes, it is. Okay, so it's always interesting to me to see Cuban cigars make this list, especially these days with so many great things coming out of Nicaragua. But Cuba's double Coronas, they say, are a regal lot, long and stately cigars that are substantial but never go overboard
I haven't had
on
the
thickness.
Gigantes. I've had the Lancero version of that.
Of the Cuban?
Uh-huh.
And you dug it, I suppose.
I had some draw issues with it, actually.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And I had a few of them, and they had
all kind of
they
seem
had a
to
little
have
bit
that.
of draw issue, but they were good. Like for
Flavor
as
was
much
good.
as you could smoke them, they were good.
At number 17, one that I believe both of us have talked about on the show this year, the My Father, the Judge, Gran Robusto.
Yeah,
That's a great cigar. The Garcia family of My Father seems to come up with blend after hit blend, and the Judge was created in 2016 as a fuller-bodied My Father. This line extension was even shorter and fatter than the originals. Nicaraguan insides and a dark cover leaf of Ecuador Sumatra.
we talked about big cigars earlier. That La Palencia.
Oh, yeah. The Hoya Silver Robusto came in at number 16. The Hoya, of course, the Hoya de Monterrey, the Hoya de Nicaragua brand holds the distinction as the oldest handmade cigar maker in Nicaragua. For more than 50 years, that factory has been producing Nicaraguan cigars consisting of only Nicaraguan tobacco. Hoya Silver represents a new chapter in their history, and of course, they were purchased, as you may remember, by Drew Estate.
Yeah. Subsequently, they don't have a whole lot of really light blends.
No, that seems to happen.
When everything you make is Nicaraguan and Nicaraguan in Nicaragua, then you're not going to have a lot of late blends.
Speaking of Drew Estate, they come in also on this list at number 15 with the Herrera Esteli Habano Robusto Grande. This is Willie Herrera's expressive blend for Drew Estate, the handmade cigar company that's now owned by Swisher International. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Drew Estate was now owned by Swisher. Anyway, this is his namesake cigar made in Nicaragua at the Gran Fabrica Drew Estate factory, and that's a good cigar. I've had that, and
the first time that I remember ever having a Herrera Esteli was our very first outside of the studio show that we ever did. Was at Friendly Fire Cigars.
Friendly Fire, that's
and
right.
We asked the gentleman there, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but we asked him, what were we smoking today? And he goes, take one of these.
I think, didn't I have one of the crankshaft from
that's right, because that was when
time?
CAO just came out with them, too.
They just come out with that line, and that was a good cigar.
This podcast is getting old.
Yeah, we really are. Speaking of old, the Aging Room clocks in at number 14. It's not an old cigar, it's just an old-sounding name. The Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua Concerto comes in at number 14.
Cuatro. Wasn't that number one a few years back?
Well, yes, but not the Concerto. Yeah. This particular one, the Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua blend, is no stranger to high honors. The torpedo-shaped Maestro was the 2019 Cigar of the Year, and the brand returns to the top 25 list with a box-pressed Churchill composed of Nicaraguan tobacco produced by, Rafael Nodal and some guy named A.J. Fernandez.
That's number 3. What number are we on now?
We are on cigar number 14. So you said there'd be 4 on the list. I said 3. I have a feeling I'm going down in a puff of smoke.
Oh, you're going down. I'm probably going down too. Actually, now I'm starting to think 6 is a better number.
At 13, the Tatuaje Reserva K222. Did you do one of those this year?
No.
I know you've done some tatuajes.
But you know what I love about tatuajes?
What's that?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, pretty much everything. By the way, our good buddy is going to come on the show.
Jason Poehler is going to be on. But Jason
he's my father.
Is my father.
And is he also tatuaje?
I am your father. No, I had to do that.
It's okay.
Tom Poehler is his brother.
Tom does tatuaje.
And he represents tatuaje, and Jason represents my father. Tom represents, they both represent multiple brands, and Tom represents tatuaje and Aladino, and Jason represents my father and a few others.
Well, interestingly, this particular cigar, the Tatuaje Reserva K222, is made in Florida, which is pretty unusual for the cigar to be made on this list, especially to be made in the United States. You know what I like about you? You're not afraid to just open a beer.
I noticed that you were talking, and so while you were doing that, I figured I would make myself useful.
I love when you do that. Number 12, while you pour, is Luciano the Dreamer. This is from the deep tracks, they say, of the cigar world, Lanceros. And they're embraced by connoisseurs but ignored by many casual cigar lovers. Now, you're a fan of the Lanceros, right?
I like Lancero size. The deal I have with Lanceros is Lanceros are real easy to have a draw issue.
Right. Well, this one apparently is not, not experiencing that problem. It is a $15 cigar, which is pretty pricey for a Lancero.
For a Lancero?
Yeah. Huh? The binder is from Nicaragua, the wrapper is from Ecuador, and the filler is from Nicaragua and Peru.
Holy
Luciano the Dreamer. What's that?
Smell your beer.
Okay. Oh, holy cow.
Yeah.
That is roasty and nutty and coffee-ish and, like a German chocolate cake.
It is. Like, I could just smell this. Like, I want to wear this scent.
Talk about this.
Talk
about what this beer is all about.
This Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels provides a plethora of mouth-watering notes such as vanilla, oak, whiskey, coffee, chocolate, toasted hazelnuts, and now toasted marshmallows and coconut as a smooth, rich complexity.
I totally get all of that.
Extremely pleasant on the tongue.
I get the coconut. I get the marshmallow.
The coconut
and the hazelnut.
Oh my gosh, the coconut and the hazelnut right there. But there's a It smells like an amazing pie crust.
It kind of tastes like that, too.
Oh, my gosh. This has the viscosity of like a 40-weight motor oil.
You know what surprises me most? And I'm looking at the can.
Actually,
in your
if
hand.
you bump your glass, it takes a moment for the
for the
shock
liquid
to even
move,
catch
yeah.
up.
So I'm looking at this can in your hand, and this was one I think was picked up at HEB, and I'm looking at the price tag, and this can, just this 12-ounce can, was $6 and like
49
cents. It was $6.50 just for the can. But
This
it
is
does
called-
kind of surprise me that this doesn't come in a bomber instead
This
of a
is called
12-ounce can.
Hazel's Nuts.
Yep. And you definitely get the hazelnut in this.
And it has a chick on the front with a bowl that has, it looks like a barrel that has some
That would be-
marshmallows and coconut
I'm gonna go-
bits in it and chocolate.
I'll go way out on a limb here and say that that's probably Hazel.
That must be Hazel. Mm-hmm. Hazel has a little bit of a 60s kind of look to her with her hair and everything like that. So I'm describing this because Josh doesn't actually watch the show. He
Beer
listens to
is
it.
fantastic.
Toasted marshmallow and coconut. My God, this is something special. It's also coming in at a paltry 12%.
So we had a 12 and a 10.
It has a very bourbony flavor.
Oh, it is very bourbony. You're right.
But it doesn't come across boozy, if that makes any sense.
I totally get what you're saying. The coffee kind of cuts through the booziness a
Coffee
little bit.
and the coconut really kind of, and the marshmallow. Man, this is. Man, can you say that the flavor is spongy? I don't
It's
know.
like a spongy German chocolate cake is what
yeah,
it's like.
this is crazy. This is amazing. Oddside does some great stuff anyway, but this guys, you really, I think you've actually broken, you've broken barrel aged beer right here.
Yeah.
you kind of did something ridiculous.
Again,
here.
I'm just so surprised to find this in a 12-ounce can as opposed to
well,
being
you
like
see,
a
if you put it
bomber
in a
only,
can,
right?
you're not going to get any issues from like sunlight. You get no contamination from
No,
sunlight.
I'm
or
not
any of
pointing
those
that
things.
out. I'm just saying a barrel-aged stout of this quality, I would have expected it to be something that was
You know what
in
a lot of
bomber,
companies have been doing though, and the first company I ever saw do this was Martin House,
where they stack the
where
two 12 ounces.
where they have the bomber box. You know, the
Yep.
box that the bombers come in a lot of times if you have that presentation, and instead of putting a bomber in there, you put two 12-ounce cans, which is brilliant.
It really is.
Your packaging costs less. You can charge a little less for the beer and or make a little more money on it if it's this kind of good. And I'm willing to bet if you pick this up as a single, it might have come in like that. I mean, they wouldn't sell it more than a 4-pack at 12% anyway, due to the way they sell stuff around here. But, man, that
beer is delicious.
yes, that is
It is like
one of the best stouts we have had, like, in existence.
and we've had a lot of stouts. I mean, maybe not every single week, but most weeks we'll have either a stout or a porter.
Any of you listening to this, if you are a fan of a flavored stout, Oddside Hazel's Nuts, go buy a lot of it. And
Yeah.
because I told you that, I need you to send me at least one or two out of it.
Yeah, go get the 4-pack, send one of them to Ian.
That's right.
That'd be
Holy
Yeah, you know,
Toledo, this
hey,
is amazing.
that totally works for like TV preachers. Shouldn't it work for us?
I mean, that's
like-
25%.
Yeah,
That's
send
not,
in your tithes and offerings to
Hey,
Smoking and Toasting.
The bottom line is, if I introduce you to something, I expect a little bit of kickback.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right?
Just that the Lord would approve.
Talking to you, Duke.
Yeah. At number 11 on our list, the Cloud Hopper number 53, which is from Aganorsa Leaf and was blended by Warped Tobacco's Tile Gellis. The Cloud Hopper number 53, it is a Nicaraguan Puro, and it comes in at number 11 on the Cigar Aficionado list. So now top 10, Arturo Fuente Rare Pink Vintage 1960 Series Happy Ending comes in at number 10, and I haven't had this cigar, but we did talk about it because this is the one they shipped when the one they were working on wasn't ready in time. Remember that we talked about that in
Yes.
Cigars to Watch For a little bit. So that comes in at number 10. At number 9, the Rocky Patel Grand Reserve Robusto. And this is the first Rocky to show up on the list. He's got a pretty huge portfolio of brick and mortar bands.
I am 100% in Rocky's corner every time he does something.
He first released the Grand Reserve for international markets only, and if you wanted to try it, you probably had to travel to Europe. It debuted in Austria before the rest of the continent of Europe. Anyway, anytime you hear a cigar maker say that he's blended a smoke for international taste, that's usually shorthand for it being very Cubanesque. And Rocky Patel never said that the Grand Reserve was meant to mimic Cuban cigars, but Cigar Aficionado calls it a confident assembly of Honduran and Nicaraguan tobaccos brought together by an Ecuadorian wrapper. And Rocky is, I'm like you. What did you say? You're firmly in Rocky's corner.
I'm in his corner, man. Rocky. So not only is he a sweet guy, like he is really his family too. Like everyone we've met from the Patel family, Nimish, all those guys are so nice.
And he's a huge believer in the cigar industry and lobbies tirelessly for it.
And so I'm always in his corner. Not to mention, I have deep-rooted, I have that kind of a mother duck thing going on because some of my earliest cigars, those Rocky Patels, the 1999s and the 1990s,
yes,
those are some of the cigars that really...
I've told you my story. I sat next to him at a cigar dinner. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's crazy cool.
No, I knew his name, but it was before most people knew Rocky Patel's name. I just happened to know because I used to smoke Indian tobacco cigars, and he was the blender for Indian tobacco. And I sat next to him, and he introduced himself, and he was really nice. We started talking about cigars, and he said, "I'm coming out with some cigars with my own name on them." And I was like, "Really?" And it struck me as interesting because Patel is not a Hispanic-sounding name,
right?
And
most
most cigar brands have a more traditional Hispanic name. And I said, "Really? That sounds cool." And he reached into his pocket of his jacket and handed me a 1992 Grand Reserva.
Nice.
Reserva, the first one with the purple band on
it.
And it was a cigar dinner, so I lit it up and smoked it and became a Rocky Patel fan instantly. It was fantastic, and he was super cool, telling me how excited he was. Fast forward all these years later, and he's one of the best-known names in cigars.
Just dropping names, and this is a funny story. I ended up telling it the other day. But do you remember when we were setting up to do our show in the lobby, in the bar at the...
At the Mirage.
At the Mirage
Vegas, yes.
in Vegas. We were setting up, and I was there kind of early, and I had a cigar going. And
imagine that.
And you came up and asked me what the cigar was, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like, man, it's okay. I'm not really liking it very much. And the guy on the other side of the booth from me heard me say this, and he leans over and goes, "What are you smoking?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's this." He goes, "Here, try one of these." And it was Oscar Valdez.
Oh, dude, and you're such a fan of Oscar Valdez.
Remember that? Yeah,
that is
I
so
love that.
cool.
Those guys that own the companies, they really
and he
literally
hears you
are
not
on
loving
ground floor with you.
He hears you not loving what you're smoking, and he's like, "Here, try this."
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a great
just
story.
randomly out of the conversation.
Such a great story. Coming in the list at number 8, the Cohiba Siglo 6, which is a Cuban cigar.
So the Cuban Cohiba. Fantastic.
If you get a real one. The problem I've had with the Cuban Cohibas is there's so many fakes out there.
That has got to be, I don't know what the numbers are, but that's got to be one of the most counterfeited cigars in existence.
Absolutely.
The Cohiba and the Monte Cristo, yeah.
At number 7, you ready to do your little victory dance? The Oliva Serie V Melanio Maduro Churchill.
I love the Oliva. The Oliva Serie V.
Yeah.
And since we had Trenton on the last time, I forgot just how much I love that cigar. Mm-hmm. And I have gone back to Oliva has now recently been one of the most frequent in my humidor.
Yep.
They're so good.
Here's what Cigar Aficionado writes about it as they rank it number 7. They say, it's not as if the Oliva Serie V Melanio needed improvement. With its Sumatra seed wrapper and bold blend of Nicaraguan tobacco, the cigar was already a complex smoke that was both critically and commercially successful. That didn't stop Oliva from taking it to the next level, which it did when it came out with the same cigar in a Maduro version, changing the Sumatra wrapper to a dark leaf of a Mexican San Andres, turned an already extraordinary cigar into an absolute blockbuster.
And it is amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
100%.
Really is. By the way, I'm down to 2. of the box you split with me of the limited release.
I have 3 left.
Oh, you have more than me.
I have 3. But
Quick, look over there.
This is, by the way, the second box that I've split.
Oh, okay. See, now I understand. Now I understand. At number 6, the Illusione Cruzado Robusto from Aganorsa Leaf.
I've had the Cruzado, and it's good.
Yeah.
I like the Illusione stuff.
I love how simple their bands are. It's just that small, simple band that
for
wraps
whatever
around
reason, they had that MJ12 that came in the silver foil wrapper. For whatever reason, such a good cigar. And
that was a good cigar.
Just gone.
I remember that. Yeah. Coming in, we're top 5 now. The Casa Cuba Doble Cuatro. This is a Fuente cigar made by Tabacalera Arturo Fuente.
Oh, that's where I've heard
It's
of
a
Casa
Dominican
Cuba.
cigar. A sentimental nod to the past, they say. Casa Cuba evokes the early era in an Arturo Fuente cigar company's timeline when the family was producing cigars with Cuban tobacco on the back porch of their home in Tampa. That's the memory of the late Carlos Fuente Sr., and it was the idea behind Casa Cuba, which he was the last blend he created before he died in 2016. So it is a $10.85 cigar. It's a 4.5 by 54, and it comes in at number 5 on Cigar Aficionado's list of the top cigars of 2022. At number 4, the Partagas Serie D, number 4, putting another Cuban cigar on the list. But
You've had that. I've bought those. I've brought those into you.
That is a blockbuster of a great cigar.
Absolutely amazing
really,
cigar.
really wonderful. And speaking of really wonderful, this stout is just
it's ridiculous,
isn't it?
It makes me cry a little bit.
It's ridiculous. I kind of want to,
This stout cannot cry, so I cry for it.
I kind of want to rub it on my nipples, and they're not even sensitive. I only said that because I knew you were going to.
I feel like I've heard that
and
before.
I wanted to beat you to it. At number 3, I reviewed this cigar earlier, late last year on the show, the San Cristobal Quintessence Churchill.
I was waiting for you to say, I reviewed this cigar earlier today.
Yeah, right.
No, that one didn't show up so well.
There are 5 different lines in the San Cristobal series, all with different wrappers and flavor profiles. But the one that stood out this year, they say, was the San Cristobal Quintessence Churchill. And it is made in Nicaragua with Nicaraguan filler and binder and a wrapper from they I got to say, I have loved every San Cristobal cigar I have smoked. They just they almost feel like you're taking a little
And that's one you don't
vacation.
see everywhere either.
Right, but they're good. So we're up to number 2. The Monte Cristo 1935 Anniversary Nicaragua, number 2. The one that you had the, brazen gall to smoke and review the week I wasn't on the show.
Let me tell you something about that cigar. Man, was it good.
Yeah. So this is a $16.43 cigar suggested retail. You may pay more depending on what state you have to buy cigars in. But this is made in honor of the anniversary of the cigar company of Monte Cristo. And they thought, when we're going to handle a heritage brand like Monte Cristo, Rafael Nadal, who's the chief cigar maker for their company, reached out to someone he thought would be the right person to blend this cigar. And guess who that was?
Is this number 4 on the list?
AJ Fernandez, number 4 on the list. You nailed it, my friend. Unless there's an AJ at number 1, you nailed it. Why did I say 3? I should have said 4.
Oh, come on. You didn't have faith.
I'm the AJ fanboy. I should have been the one who thought
you didn't
he was
have
gonna,
faith.
Yeah. So that's number 2. And I'm going to tell you, Ian, I have not smoked that cigar yet. So I'm saving my money up, and I'm going to buy me one of those.
That's a good cigar.
I can't wait. Number 1 on Cigar Aficionado's list, and the cigar of the year, the Padron 1964 Anniversary Series Torpedo, the natural version. And that's
hard to argue with.
I'm just going to say, the last couple of those I've had, while they've certainly been wonderful, have not knocked me over the way a few other cigars I've had have done.
Their Anniversario series, if it says Anniversary on it, it's not going to suck.
I'll agree with that.
It's just not like, and they're expensive. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as they put that name on it, it's over $20.
$17.80 is what it suggests for retail.
$17.80. Okay, so I lied. It's over $15. Anyway,
but it depends where you buy it again, and what state you're in, and what the taxes are.
If it's in New York, it's like $35.
Exactly.
But anyway,
a second mortgage on your home required to smoke
you
the
actually
cigar.
have to sign paperwork and make payments on that cigar. But the truth is, with any of the Anniversario stuff, they're all good. My absolute favorite out of that line is the 45th.
Yeah,
The
that's a great
45th
cigar.
anniversary, I think, is such a special
But
cigar.
I will say, and I've had this one, it is a really, really terrific
1926
cigar.
is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really, really, really
Absolutely. If someone hands me one of those, it's not like I'm going to be like, well, you know what's better than that.
Yeah. Somebody hands you one of those, you take it and walk to the other corner of the room before they realize what they've done.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I go, oh, wait, I meant to give you this other cigar.
Yeah, those are the 19. Any of the 1926 line is absolute primo and absolutely worth it. They're fantastic.
So a good year, and I don't know if Padron really needed the sales help of landing number one. I mean, these higher priced cigars of theirs do sell themselves.
But this is why Padron is where it is too, because they can still do that,
Yeah.
and not even with a brand new blend.
No, I know. The blends have been around since 20. They produced the number one cigar of 2021, but this was a cigar that was released in 1994.
Yeah,
Amazing, huh?
yeah.
Amazing.
It's
All
just it's just one of those things. Man, Padron is one of those where again and I don't even like. I'll go ahead and say it straight up. I don't really like a lot of their lower end cigars.
I used to smoke them regularly. I don't anymore.
I don't find them that interesting.
Yeah, no.
I find at the same price point, I've found other cigars that I like better.
Agree totally.
But when you start getting into any of the Anniversarios,
Yeah.
man, it's hard to argue. I can't always spend that kind of money.
Well, Cigar Aficionado's number one cigar of the year for 2021, the Padron 1964 Anniversary Series Torpedo. The natural, it is a Nicaraguan Puro and made in Nicaragua. So Nicaragua scores big this year.
Yeah.
And so does AJ with 4 entries.
4 entries. I called
25.
it, didn't I? I haven't even looked at that list, just FYI.
Totally did.
I called it. You owe me a beer.
All right, fair enough.
You did bring all the beer today, so we'll go ahead and call it even.
And we'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. All right, this is just
Chris Rock movie.
oh my god, I hadn't thought of that in so long.
That's hilarious. If you remember gangster rap, it's hilarious.
Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for this show. This was a fun one. Maybe it was just fun for me because it's just so good to be back in the studio doing this and drinking this incredible stout. You know,
We have now killed this can of stout. It's so good.
Man. So I'm just going to say we had several beers that we really, really liked today. The first was the Peche from Celis from Austin. The second was the Mars Double IPA.
Great double
from
IPA,
Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan. And finally from Oddside, the Hazel's Nuts. A 12% ABV Imperial Stout that was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to read this. I know you did this earlier, but Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coffee, coconut, natural hazelnut, toasted marshmallow. That's amazing. That many flavors. And they're all there. They're all
And they're
distinctly
distinct. Yes.
there. Yes, absolutely. It's wonderful. And even though this can was like almost $7,
There is
completely
that
and
is,
totally
you know,
worth it.
so there's no muddiness to the flavors in that can. Like we can just rave on that can for a while if you'd like. There's no muddiness to the flavors. They're all there. They're all distinct. The burnt caramel, the burnt marshmallow. It's so obvious.
Yes. All right, coming up next week's show, we will be live on location with Jason Poehler, who is from My Father's Cigars. They landed a big one on the top 25 list from Cigar Aficionado for this year, and he'll be there with us. I think we're going to be at Casa de Monte
We
Cristo.
will. I talked to Ken and Steve over at Casa.
I love
have
those guys.
confirmed it. Yeah, they're so super nice to us.
Yeah, so we
every
will,
time.
We will be there doing the show live. That'll be coming your way next Thursday. And then on the 3rd, this has gotten delayed a couple of times because of things that he had going, but fortunately, he's enough of a gentleman that he let us know in plenty of
Is
time.
it going to be Trey? I
Trey
miss
Boring.
I like
Trey Boring will be here. And it's really timely because there's so much going on in the legal world with cigars right now.
Yeah.
And he is our total legal expert when it comes to cigars. Plus, he's also a part of one of the coolest organizations I know, which is Cigars for Warriors.
Yep.
And I love helping those guys out and giving them any publicity we can. Then, the week after that, is our Valentine's show. It's on the 10th of February, so it's our last show before Valentine's Day. So we have invited the one and only smoking and toasting wine expert Mark Burrell to come on and recommend wines for Valentine's Day. Yeah, he's so much fun.
I love that guy.
So I can't wait for that. So a lot of good stuff coming up here. Peter Clifton's going to come on and do cocktails with us in February, and Jordan Davis is going to return. He's with Heaven's Door, which is Bob Dylan's.
Yeah, he's the one we had on last time.
Yes,
with Heaven's Door. Yeah, it's so cool.
So, and then guess who else is excited about coming back to the show? Do you remember when we had our one of our cocktail experts on who brought along Sean Anger from Fox and Seeker?
That was
Sean's going to be back with us. They've got some new stuff going on.
So
at
Chris,
Fox and
because
Seeker.
Chris reached out to me and said that they had their barrel rested gin is ready.
Yes,
and he remembered me talking about
Yep,
that. Yeah, so I was
right.
like, let's do a show, buddy.
Yep. So that's going to be coming up. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up. We are looking forward to a very full and exciting year for 2022 for Smoking and Toasting. And I believe during this year we'll hit our 300th show, won't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty
It's coming
exciting.
up, buddy.
Yeah,
and it's going to be ridiculous.
We're like halfway to 300 right now.
We are halfway to 300.
So,
By the end of this year, we will be at 300. Oh, I need something to drink, don't I?
I have some tequila here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, see, I know I brought a good IPA when you go for a little IPA for your final toast. That makes me happy.
We'll finish the IPA.
That makes me happy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Come back and join us again for number 267 next week with Jason Poehler, and we are looking forward to it in a massive way. Until then, cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all. I was going to smash that against my head, but I don't think it tells me.